So in this tutorial, we're going to look at how to add supers or lower thirds or astons, whichever term you use, and at how to add captions in a way that's suitable for journalism and looks professional. So for every interviewee, we need to put their name and title on the screen. We need a super, an aston, a lower third that says who this is and why they're relevant to this story. So first of all, we come up here to graphics. We create a new layer and we create a rectangle, and you can see it drops it over the top on the next video layer on the timeline on the next video track. So then I can take this grey box that's appeared and I can turn it into a lower third. I'm going to drag that all the way off the screen. I'm going to move it down here so it's in the right position. So for a lower third, I would always leave a little bit of a gap at the bottom and take it all the way off the screen. And then if we double click down here on the timeline on the graphic and we go to effect controls, we can manipulate everything about that graphic here. First of all, I want to make it white. So if I look into the shape, if I go into the shape here that we've created, this rectangle, and go to the fill, I'm going to make it white so that we can write on it. And I am going to reduce the opacity a little bit so it's not as opaque. I'm going to set that to around 80%. And then I'm going to come down here and take the text tool, click on the screen, and I'm going to start typing. So name, title. So if I highlight this now and go back into effect controls, you should see that the text has appeared here. So I want to make it Arial so it's easiest to read and it looks professional, Arial regular. I want to just select the name and I want to make that bold. I want it all to be black. So I'm going to go to fill here, drag it up into this corner. So 0, 0, 0, 0, I'm making it black. And then I obviously want to make it smaller so it fits onto this strip. So I'm going to come back in here and then in transform, I'm going to click and drag to the left and scale it down until it fits. And then I want to move it up a little bit using my position slider until it sits somewhere nice like that. So then obviously we don't want it to just appear on the screen like that. We want it to wipe on nicely. So you usually want to see somebody for a couple of seconds and then we want to see the super appear. So if I come down here and click on this little arrow tab so that I can see all the windows that would be down here, and if I go down to effects and I want to go to video transitions, I'm going to take a wipe. I'm going to drag that wipe on to the start, and I am going to make this clip a bit longer just for an example. Trim that down so it finishes. So a nice professional super. Again, you want it on for enough time to read it. You probably need it on for a little bit longer than that realistically, because you'd have a longer interview clip. If you want to put a caption on the screen, it's similar, but we want it to look different to a super. So if I come over here, if I'm adding, if she was talking and I was adding subtitles, I would use this approach. Or if I want to add text to help tell the story, I would use this approach. So very similar, graphics, new layer, rectangle. And again, I can click on it, go back to my selection tool rather than the text tool and stretch that out, move it right to the bottom. So for captions, I wouldn't leave a gap. I would then make sure I've double clicked on it, gone into the effect controls window again, find my shape, which is there, and I would turn this one black. Again, I would go down and reduce the opacity in here a little bit. And then I would get my text tool and I would write on it in white this time. So let's imagine this lady is called Katie White. Katie White has been a nurse for 10 years. Okay. Perhaps that's the story that I want to tell. So I'm going to select it all again. I'm going to look in my Effect Controls tab where my text will now have appeared. I'm going to make my text white so it stands out against the black background. I'm going to make sure I have no typos or errors. So if I come into text and again go down to scale, I'm going to make it a bit smaller so it looks a bit nicer and move it so it is central. There we go. And for captions, if they're not on for the whole way through, I would tend to crossfade on rather than wipe. So again, if you go into your effects window, effects panel, go down to video transitions and choose a dissolve. And I would take a cross dissolve so it just fades on nicely. So fades on there as the clip starts and if necessary, fades out. So that is what a super, an aston, a lower third should generally look like. A nice, clean, professional way to do it for journalism. If you have a logo for the company, you might have the logo on the aston, but usually that would be provided to you in a template. And captions, black background, white text. And actually that looks like it's bold and I don't want it to be bold, I want it to be regular. There we go, that looks much better. So supers, astons, lower thirds, captions or subtitles.